Hello everyone, I am Professor Avantika Jeure from Hirachan Nemchan College of Commerce, Solapur, and I work in the BCA department. In this video, we are going to learn about Git and GitHub from very beginning. Whenever we create a project, we keep making changes in our files, right? Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we delete something, accidentally we delete something, right? And sometimes we want to go back to an older version of our work. So this is where Git is going to help us. And if we want to store our project, our work online or share it with other friends, at that time GitHub is going to help us to do that. Okay. Before understanding about Git, let's first get to know what is meant by version control. What is version control? Okay, the word version control simply means managing different version of your project. Let's take a simple example. Suppose you are creating a college project. Today you complete some part of your project and save it. But tomorrow you make some new changes. But after making those changes, you realize that old version was actually better than the new one. So now you want the previous version back. What you are going to do at that time? Many students create many files. For example, first project, project number 2, final project updated, and so on. And after some times, they themselves get confused about which file is the latest one. So this is where the version control is going to help us. It keep track of all the changes that we are going to make in that particular project. So whenever needed, we can easily go back to an older version without creating multiple copies of the same project. Now let's see what is Git. Git is a tool that helps us keep track of changes made in a particular project. Suppose you are creating a website. Today you write some code and everything is working properly. Tomorrow you make a few changes and suddenly the website stops working. Normally it can be difficult to get back to the old code, but if you are using Git, it keeps a record of your work. So you can easily go back to the version that was working before. Whenever we save our progress in Git, it is called as a commit. So whenever you are going to save your progress, that is referred as a commit. Another advantage of Git is that it works without the internet. We can save our work and track changes directly on our computer. Internet is needed only when we want to upload our project to the GitHub. Okay, now let's move to the GitHub. GitHub is a platform where we can store our Git project online. Okay, here first point is GitHub provides a backup of our code. Suppose your project is saved only on your laptop and the laptop gets damaged, your project maybe get lost at that time, right? So but if the project is uploaded to the GitHub, a copy of your project is safely stored online. Understood? Now, apart from storing our project online, GitHub provides another important feature. It allows multiple people to work on the same project. For example, suppose four students are creating a college management system project. Okay, so one student work on login page, another maybe working on attendance page, another will work on student details. All of them can work on the same project using the GitHub. So it is not just useful for the storing project, but also for the teamwork. Moving to the next point, GitHub also provides some additional tools. These tools help developers manage their project, review the changes, and organize their work more effectively. Along with the GitHub, there are other platforms such as GitLab and Bitbucket. All of them help us store and manage the Git repository only. But GitHub is the most widely used among of them. In short, GitHub makes storing and managing project much easier. GitHub is like, for example, GitHub is like a Google Drive for coding project. So where we can store, share, and manage our work online. Okay. Now we are going to see what is the basic difference between Git and GitHub. Many students think that Git and GitHub are the same, but they are actually different. Git is a tool that is installed on our computer, and it is going to help us to track whatever the changes made in a particular project, and it can work even without an internet connection, right? So GitHub, on the other hand, it is an online platform where we store our Git project. For an example, think of your project as a document. Okay, Git helps you save and manage different version of that particular document on your computer only, while GitHub is going to help you to store that document online, so that you can access it from anywhere and share it with others. In simple words, Git is tool that manage changes, and GitHub is the place where we store and share our project online. Okay, now let's see what is mean by repository. A repository is a project folder that is managed by Git. For example, I am creating a student management system project. Okay, so inside that project, I may have different files such as HTML file, CSS file, JavaScript file, maybe some images, some documents. Okay, so if I change something in my HTML file or CSS file, Git can track that change. If I add a new file, Git can track that too, because Git is monitoring that this folder. It is called as repository. So when Git starts keeping track of all the files and changes inside that folder becomes a repository. Whenever we create a project and manage it using the Git, that project folder is called as a repository. So when Git starts tracking a project folder, it also create a folder called as Git. Okay, so that is .git. Okay, you can see on the screen. This folder stores the history of all the changes made in that particular project. That's how Git remembers whatever the changes were made and when they were made. Okay, a repository can be on our computer as well as on GitHub. Copy on our computer is called as a local repository, and the copy on GitHub is called as a remote repository. So, in simple words, whenever we create a project and manage it using Git, that project folder becomes a repository. On the right side, you can see folder named My Project. Okay, so inside there, there is a files like index.html, style.css, and readme.md. Along with these files, Git creates a hidden Git folder, .git folder. Okay, now let's quickly understand some important terms that are commonly used in a Git and GitHub. Okay, first one is commit. Commit means saving the current version of your project. For example, you suppose you complete the login page today. You can create a commit to save that version of the project. Later, if something goes wrong, you can come back to that saved version. Okay, next one is branch. Sometimes we want to add a new feature to our project, but we don't want to affect the main project while testing it. In such cases, we can create a branch. Suppose your website is already working properly and now you want to add a dark mode feature, just an example. So instead of making changes directly in the main project, you can create a separate branch and test the features there. If everything works correctly, you can later add those changes to the main project. Okay, so similarly, if you want to add a new payment feature, okay, for a new or a new page to the particular website, you can first work on it in a separate branch. This allows us to experiment with new feature without disturbing the original project, or without disturbing the code which is in the original project. Understood? Now, the next important term in the Git or GitHub is remote. Remote simply means online version of your project stored on GitHub. Suppose the project folder on your laptop is one copy and the same project uploads on GitHub is another copy. That GitHub copy is called the remote repository. Okay, now let's understand about the push. Push means sending the latest changes from our computer to the GitHub. Whenever we make changes in our project, Those changes are saved only on our computer. Other people cannot see those changes on GitHub automatically, right? To update the GitHub repository, with our latest work, we use the push command. For example, you add a contact us page to your website or make some changes in the existing code. Those changes are available only on your laptop. If you want the same changes to appear on a GitHub, you need a push. Okay, you need a push command at that time. You can think of push like uploading files to a Google Drive. The file is first saved on your computer, right? And when you upload it to the Google Drive, it becomes available online. Okay, in the same way, push uploads our latest project, latest work, whatever the changes you made from our computer to GitHub. Now next one is pull. Pull means bringing the latest changes from GitHub to our computer. Sometimes changes are made to the project on GitHub, but those particular changes are not available on our computer automatically, right? To get the updated version of the project, we use the pull command. Suppose your friend is working on the same project, okay, and adds a new feature. He upload those changes to the GitHub. Now if you want that updated feature on your laptop, you need to use pull command. You can think pull like downloading the file from your Google Drive. If someone updates a file on Google Drive, you need to download the latest version to get those changes. In the same way, pull brings the latest project changes from GitHub to our computer. So in short, push is for getting the file or downloading the file from computer to GitHub, and pull is for from GitHub to computer. Okay, last one is clone. It means downloading a copy of project from GitHub to our computer. We use clone when the project is not available on our system and we want to download it for the first time. For example, suppose your friend has created a college management system project and uploaded it to the GitHub. Now you also want to work on that project. Instead of creating the project from the beginning, you can simply clone it and get all the project files on your computer. Remember one thing, clone is used only once to download the complete project for the first time. After that, if someone makes changes to the project on GitHub, we don't use clone again. We use pull to get those latest changes on our computer. Okay, so simply clone is for first time downloading of your complete project and pull is for getting the latest updates of an existing project. Okay, now let's see about essential git commands. Okay, first one is git init. This is the first command. Suppose you create a new project folder called as the student management system. Right now it is just a normal folder. Git does not know anything about this folder, so we use git init to tell the git that let's start tracking on that particular project. After that, git starts keeping a record of all the changes made in the project. For example, if I create a new HTML file, update a CSS file, or add an image, Git can keep track of those changes. So simply it is used to convert normal project folder into Git repository. Okay. The next command is git add dot. Okay. After creating a project, we keep making changes to different files, but Git does not save those changes automatically. First, we need to tell the Git which files we want to save. This is done using git add dot. For example, suppose I create a new HTML file and update a CSS file. If I want Git to include these changes in the next save point, I use git add dot. The dot means all the files inside that particular project. So git add dot tells Git to prepare all the changed files for saving. Next one is git commit -m message. This command is used to save the current version of your project. For example, after completing the login page, I can write git commit -m added login page. Here the message tells us what work was done in that particular version. So it creates a save point of the project with the message. Next command is git remote add origin URL. This command is used to connect our local project with the GitHub. Here the URL is the link of our GitHub repository. For example, if I have created a repository on GitHub, I can use this command to connect my project folder to that repository. After the connection is created, I can upload my project to the GitHub. Think of it like connecting your mobile phone to the Wi-Fi. Once the connection is established, you can start using the internet, right? So in the same way, after connecting the project to GitHub, we can upload our code there. Now last one is git push. After saving our project using git commit, the changes are still available only on our computer. To upload those changes to GitHub, we use git push. For example, suppose I have added to login page to my project. I have added a login page. Suppose I have added a login page to my project. If I want the same changes to appear on GitHub, I need to use git push. So git push is for upload a project changes from our computer to GitHub. Okay. So before starting the demonstration, make sure you have a GitHub account and Git installed on your system. If you don't have them, you can create a GitHub account from github.com and download Git from gitscm.com. Once the setup is complete, you can follow the same steps that I am going to demonstrate. Okay, so this is the GitHub dashboard which appears after logging into your GitHub account. Okay, so from here you can access your existing repository. As you can see here, these are my existing repository. You can create a new repository using this green new button and manage your projects. On the left side, you can see the list of your repository, and to create a new project, simply click on the new button, and from this step, see here we can create a new repository. Now I am on the create a new repository page in a GitHub. Okay, so where we create a new project repository. First, I'll enter the repository name as Git Demo 1. A repository is simply a storage location where our project code and files are going to get managed. Next, in this repository file, there is a description. Okay, so this field is optional, but it's good practice to write a short description so others can understand what is the purpose of your project. Okay, next we are having the configuration. Okay, so here I'll choose a public so that anyone can view this repository. If I select a private, only authorized user can access it then. Okay, there is a readme file as well. So it is an option which creates a readme file that contains information and documentation about the project. Okay, so since I am pushing an existing local project, I'll keep this option turned off. Okay, so here this is a turned off. Now the next thing is dot git ignore. Okay, so dot git ignore, it is again option. It is used to execute unnecessary file such as temporary or log files from being tracked by git. So for this basic demo, I'll leave it as a no dot git ignore. The license option defines how other people can use or modify our project. Since this is only a demo repository, I won't add a license. Okay. Now all the required details have been provided. I'll check the create repository to create my remote repository on GitHub. Once the repository is created, GitHub will provide the repository URL which we will use to connect our local project and upload the code using the git command. Okay, so here I have created the repository. So our GitHub repository has now been created successfully, right? So this page provides the commands required to connect a local project with this remote repository. Okay, so here at the top, GitHub displays repository URL. We'll use this URL later with the git remote and origin command to link our local repository to GitHub. Okay, so below that, GitHub provides two sets of commands. Okay, the first set is used when creating a new Git repository from the command line. The second set is used when you already have an existing local Git repository and simply want to upload it to the GitHub. Okay. So here, if I open this HTML file, we can view its content directly on GitHub, right? So GitHub allows us to browse and manage project files online. Okay, so here I can see, yes, I can see the history, commit history. This is the commit history. Every time changes are going to get saved here. GitHub records them and keep helps developers track project updates and revert to the previous version if required. Okay. So next thing is file editing. If I click on this icon, I can easily add any extra line here. It means I can easily write any extra content or make changes in that particular HTML file. This is the YouTube video content. See, if right now I have added this extra content, it means I have made changes in that particular HTML file, and now if I want to save that particular content in, or if I want to update that file, I can add whatever the things I need to show in that particular file, and I can click here on the commit changes. See, update index file, yes, commit changes. Now when you are going to see the new version of that file, it is having the updated content in that particular file. Here there is one more button called code. Can you see this? This button provides the repository URL here, which developers use to clone or connect this repository to their local system. As you can see, the index.html file has been uploaded successfully to the GitHub repository. This indicates that our project is now stored online and can be accessed from anywhere. Okay. As you can see, the index.html file has been uploaded successfully to the GitHub repository, right? So this indicates that our project is now stored online and can be accessed from anywhere. So here we can see the latest commit, which records the most recent changes made to that particular repository. So GitHub maintains this commit history, making it easy to track and manage project updates. So this is the complete basic GitHub repository creation and file upload process. So this completes the practical demonstration of GitHub here. We successfully created a repository, uploaded a project file, and learned how GitHub helps us store and manage our projects online. Now let's quickly recap the key concept covered in this session. Now let's quickly recap the key concept covered in this session. So we understood that Git saves different version of a project locally while GitHub stores those projects online, right? We also learned that a repository is the place where our project files are get managed. Basic Git workflow follows a sequence like Git add, then Git commit, then Git push, and finally we saw how a project can be uploaded from our computer to GitHub. With this, we have completed the fundamentals of Git and GitHub. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this practical demonstration helped you understand the basics of Git and GitHub. Thank you.